Hey everyone, this is Jess Hewitt of Drev, here to show you a plugin I developed called Delaystable. Using Reaktor, I was able to make a little effect that would let me stutter audio whenever I wanted to, just on the fly, whether it was in a song or during a live performance. I would actually put my vocals through this thing and be able to stutter and manipulate it however I wanted to. Now, the way that I chose to actually trigger the stutters or delays was using MIDI notes. We've got 6 delays or stutters, and I've labeled the key right next to them. So delay 1, C3, delay 2, D3, F3, G3, A3, B3. Now, the way I went around creating stutter effects live on the flies, I don't know if anybody else has used this or done this, it's just a term I came up with, made a trap delay. And what I mean by that is if I wanted to maybe stutter something by 50 milliseconds, what I would do is feed the incoming signal into a delay for 50 milliseconds, and then once that 50 milliseconds was up, snap the input of the delay to be the output and cut off all incoming audio. So there'd be no feedback or anything like that, but what would happen is you'd have the delay's output actually attached to its input. So think about like a snake eating its own tail. You just have it going in a little bit of a loop. And the output of the delay, I also connected it to the output of the plugin, so that would be the stutter effect that you would hear. But what made it really interesting is since you have this feedback loop going on, you can start messing with the delay time in real time, and that forces the delay to either truncate or interpolate new samples in between it, depending on, like if you start extending the delay time from 50 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds, the delay literally has to fill the blank space with new sound. So it became a bit of a creative sound design tool as well as just a straight up stutter effect. The way that I've got this set up here is in Reaktor I actually use both A and B layout. A is usually a simplified layout. B expands things a little bit. I tend to take more room up. With this one, it doesn't really do or look much different as far as the different settings. You get the new properties thing over here, and the LFO is much more expanded, whereas in the A view it's very simplified. As far as setting it up in a DAW, right now I'm using Ableton Live, and I've got it set up on a MIDI track as an instrument. You see over here, this is it as an instrument. This is an audio effect to be put on an audio track. We're not going to use this. I have to use it as an instrument because I want to send it MIDI information, MIDI notes specifically to trigger the different delays or stutters. And then I have one audio track right here, that audio 2. It's just feeding audio right to Reaktor. So if we go into the structure, you see the input of to Reaktor, going to the Delaystable, and then going right out. It's pretty straightforward. Alright, so the way the layout works is I've just tried my best to make it look as user-friendly as possible and that sort of thing by labeling like this is delay 1 and it's just what's in here and it's triggered by C3. I've also got on switches for each of them, and right below them is an indicator for whether or not you trigger it. So right now I'm going to hit C3, and this should illuminate. Yep, there it goes. Now, the reason why I put on switches on here is actually right now the delays, because of the way I explained the trap delay, they're actually going right now. Even though it's just silence, they're actually continuously feeding themselves silence right now. But once we put audio through it, it'll just have audio, but it'll constantly keep going. So I put these here as a way to minimize CPU if that's an issue. So right now it's at 7.8, 7.7%. If I turn just one of them off, it goes down a full percentage point. So that was the reason for that. Also, the way it's set up is the first 4 delays are the same kind of delay. They have the same structure. I made 4 of them just so you could have different settings and trigger them at different times, and that way the stutters wouldn't sound very static. Delay 5 is a little bit different. It's using Reaktor's granular repitching delay object. And delay 6 is a delay that allows you to decrease the amount of delay time on each stutter by a percentage point that you specify.